Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Games New and Old. I am David Rodriguez, and this is another episode of the Mic Drop, where I interview someone out there in the gaming world, and then we debate a not too controversial topic. And today, my guest is the host of Mel's Board Game Room, as well as the co-host of the Boardgame Specialists, Melanie Barr. How you doing, Melanie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Did I forget anything that you do? Because I
Oh,
feel like I
shoot.
see you so much that like I may be missing an entire like thing that I just haven't even touched on yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I do. It's just kind of all over the place, right? And I do post a lot, so I'm in people's face all the time.
That's good though.
Um, yeah, I'm also part of the FallCon group, which is the group that does the largest board game convention in Alberta.
Oh,
And I help them with their media. And then, of course, with the events when we have our gaming events. And then I'm also in collaboration with Games and Couples, and I do their game of the week, and I do the game night, date night video series for them. And then they do couple counseling utilizing board game as the main tool for helping couples connect, reconnect, or kind of come together on a neutral ground. So it's great.
oh wow, that's really. I didn't even know about that. That's kind of cool. I'm
Yeah.
sure I've seen it. I maybe maybe I didn't. I don't know. But either way, yeah, you two like a lot of stuff. It is impressive. And what's really impresses me about that is because I try to put out a lot of videos, but like the more videos I put out, the less game time I have, and so at some point I have to like reverse that, or I don't have anything more to
Yeah.
talk about. But you, I mean, I could be wrong. It could be just what I perceive from watching your or listening to your podcast and whatnot. You play like really often, don't you? Am I crazy?
We played 12 games yesterday.
Oh
See,
my
this
god.
weekend I was supposed to be at a game convention in Edmonton, but I came down with the flu.
Oh
So I didn't
no.
go. So I was like, well, I'm feeling a little bit sorry for myself. So I'm going to play games here. And then ended up going to my friendly local game store and bought some games as well. So it's just
Wow.
like, and then my family is amazing. Like my spouse will play with me quite a bit. He doesn't have quite the same gaming stamina, but he will.
Right.
And then my stepdaughter lately, and I hope this goes on for a long time, but she's been in a gaming mood. And every time she comes over, she's like, okay, so we're playing games tonight? And I was like, oh, you betcha. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's been great.
Well, I'm impressed because I probably often don't get 12 games in a month. So if you could do that in one day, regardless of the situation, I'm legitimately jealous of your life. That's a are your kids kind of like not super tiny, I'm guessing, right?
No, my youngest, Lily, is 12. And then
Okay.
Patrick is 15. And then Nick and Jerome are 16. Yeah, I don't think they're 17
Okay.
yet. So 16. So
Okay. Yeah, that might help explain. I'm hoping when my kids get a little older, it'll be a little easier to play like tons of games. But
yeah.
right now I've got the youngest who's 3, and I've got a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old, and
Yeah.
you know,
That'll keep you busy for sure.
yeah. Oh boy, does it. Okay. Well, all right. So so you have um you got the podcast, you got the video series or channel. Which one
Yeah.
did you start first?
I did the video first. And it was funny, like it was during the pandemic. Like I wasn't looking at becoming a content creator at all. I just wanted to do board game stuff. And then I want to do board game stuff a lot more than my family does. And then with the pandemic, you couldn't go out anymore. And I was
Right.
like, okay, I need to scratch that itch somehow. And then I was interviewed by a gentleman in the UK on an Instagram, and he's like, why are you not doing this? I was like, well, there's so many great voices out there. Do we really need another one? And he's like, yeah, we do. So, so I started doing it just as a way to kind of keep that aspect of my life kind of going with all of that going on. And then through social media, Carla reached out to me. And then it's funny because she reached out to me and then she came over to my house for a game night one time. And then afterwards, she's like, I think we should do a podcast. It's like we barely knew each other. And I was like,
Wow.
and it was funny because this was something I had wanted to do. And I had approached a couple of my friends, kind of like, hey, I think we'd be great to do this. And then I had approached my friend Lyle, and he's like, Melanie, we can't. He's like, I am such a perfectionist. We will never post anything because it'll never be good enough. And I'm like the complete opposite, like if something happens that the audio quits, sure, I'll edit that out. But otherwise, everything goes in. Like, I do very little editing. It's just like, oh, I can't believe we said that. Oh, well, it goes in, So, I mean, I guess it's genuine in that way, but it's just because I work full time, and sometimes it seems like I work more than full time. I work in pharmacy, and then with the kids, and there's not a ton of spare time to do this sort of thing. So if I was really taking too much time to kind of perfect everything, like it wouldn't be coming out. So, and we're just doing it. It's just for, mostly just for fun and to put this stuff out there and kind of get my voice out there as well. So.
Yeah, well, I actually tend to prefer the podcast and whatnot where it doesn't feel like so super perfected. Honestly, like if someone there's a lot out there that they I'm pretty sure are scripted, and some of them you can really tell, and so like the information they're giving me better be awesome because like the way it's delivered is not.
Right.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel that great to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if you script at all, but if you do,
No.
it doesn't. Yeah, I got the impression, but it doesn't seem like it. And like if like my stuff would probably seem more tidy and nice if I scripted, but also I would stop doing it. I just wouldn't. I like
Exactly.
there's
Well,
no
you
way.
don't have time. If you're going to
Yeah.
be making your podcast before you make your podcast and then post, like, where do you find the time to do all that? Plus, that was one thing that I was enjoying. I would get together with friends, we'd play games, and then afterwards we'd start discussing different things about game. And that's the feel that I want. This is just a board game conversation. We're just talking about the different board games, and to have it conversational is something that I like.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So like so you and Carla. So we kind of know how you met. I was going to ask you how you met, so you went right into it, so that helped. Um, do you two have pretty similar tastes in games in general?
You know what? I would say probably not so much.
Hmm.
She loves the heavy hero. She loves the tile placement games. Not that I don't love the heavier games. I enjoy that, but my gaming is mostly with my kids most of the time, or my family. So it doesn't tend to get quite that heavy. We do a lot of fillers. And
Right.
then, I mean, I'm impressed with Carla's lifestyle because she plays way more than I do. She'll
Oh.
have multiple game nights where she has people coming over to play games a week. And I was like, oh, I do one once every 2 weeks. So it's amazing. And then she comes with all these games she's played. And then she's a lot more kind of up to date on the new games as well. While I tend
Oh.
to kind of look up the old forgotten games. This tends to be what I like to bring in sometimes. But so, so we've got, I mean, of course, we've played together. We enjoyed similar games as well. And then there's not a lot of games I would say I don't like, but so we have different styles for sure. And then she'll solo play quite a bit while I'm a social person. I play board game for
Right.
the social aspect of it. So to solo, unless it's just to learn the game, sure, then I might do it. But otherwise, I'd be like, okay, I'm bored. I need somebody else. If
Yeah,
I'm
I
going to
get
be
that. I
doing
get.
solo, I'd rather just listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos and that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I don't mind solo gaming. I don't do it that often. Mainly just because I don't have a lot of time to myself.
mhm.
Excuse me. But yeah, it is kind of, I don't know. It's a very different feel. Even if you're playing a game that plays similarly solo and not like it just, I don't know. Without having people there, it really, I think it massively alters the experience of a particular game quite a lot.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So one thing that I really like about your podcast, the Board Game Specialist, is uh, as you may know, a little while back, the Dice Tower stopped doing their podcasts. I mean,
hmm
they like put out like their daily whatever audio of their videos or whatever, but um, and as I think most people who watch them know they always do a top 10 or whatever. Name your weird topic, and they've probably done it. And with them being gone, I was like, man, I miss having that top list every 2 weeks or whatever it was. And then somehow one way or another I discover you, and you seem to have a top 9. Is it every single episode? Have you had a top 9 every single episode?
All but one. 2 weeks ago, we did an interview one with the guy that's running KefCon. So we just kind of wanted to do an interview, kind of find out what's involved in putting your own convention together. Because this is something that started in his home, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So if anybody's interested in starting their own convention or gaming event, like what's involved in it. So it was an interesting topic to get more information on. So we did that one. But otherwise, so far, it's all been top 9. Yeah.
Okay, that's wow. That amazes me because I really enjoy doing these lists, but I keep thinking like, okay, well, we could do the top 10 or whatever, this thing or that thing, but I'm like, I don't know, like I'm gonna start running out of ideas. And you're in your like 40 some odd episodes, right? Something like that.
So and then for the 50th episode, we're gonna start doing our top 50 games of all time. So then that's going to be coming starting episode 50. But yeah, because we've done an episode a week for 40 43 44 weeks. Yeah, so we've done 43 episodes. I don't think the 43rd one has aired yet, but and we have like kind of an ongoing list of different topics we want to talk about as well. So we've got more stuff that we want to bring up. And then we're getting better at it. Like earlier on, we did our top 9 pirate themed game, which apparently was my idea. And then I got to put the list together, and I haven't played 9 pirate games.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, do you ever like come up with an idea like, oh shoot, I only know 7. Like, what do I do? Do you just fill in with like what I'd like to play these two?
I went to the game store and I bought some pirate games.
Wow.
I could add it to my list. But I was like, oh no. So
that's dedication.
Well, any excuse to get a new board game, I guess. But so it's just, but when you think of it, it's like, oh yeah, of course I've played lots of pirate games, and then I got listing them. I think I was like 8. So then added Pop Pirate, which is like ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's a little kids game. It shouldn't be part of this list. So I was like, oh no. But Carla plays way more games than I ever did, right? So she's got a much wider repertoire. And I mean, and my game experience or background is nothing to sneeze at either. I've probably played over 500 some games, but apparently not pirate games.
Yeah, I mean, when you have to break it down, especially when you have to come up with a new list every week, my God, like there's got to be stuff that you just can't hit that number on. I would imagine, because there's so many types of games. It's crazy.
We did our top 9 Reiner Knizia games, and we want to do more games with other publishers or other game designers. But then it's like, oh, how about this one? It's like, oh, no, I haven't played 9 of his, And then also to have a game designer that's done more than 9 games is, like there's amazing designers out there that have done 2 or 3, so and they probably will never make it on our top list for now anyways. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean, excuse me. My goodness, like, so we're going to later on we're going to do our little debate, and I've done one where it's like this game versus that game, which is really fun, but the tricky thing is both people have to have played both games. I had one guess that yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, and remember it. That's extra tough. But later on, well, by the time people are watching this, it will have already come out. So whatever. Anyway, one of my guests, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, and she suggested Terraforming Mars versus Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, and I was like, well, I own one of those, but I like basically know the differences in a sense, but I have not played either, so I'm not gonna. I would have to just pull out the most ridiculous nonsense to argue that. So, and I didn't think I was likely going to get them both owned and played in that amount of time, so I couldn't do that. But I guess you could get into silly lists, like I don't know, like top 9 games that have a colon in the title, or I don't know.
And you could really, like we've got some stuff that we're looking into that, is very broad or very specific or, like, yeah, the pirate's very specific. We've got some that's more like, which game would you play with your mom? So that's getting a lot more broader. Now, honestly, my mom doesn't play board games, so it'd
Yeah,
be
mine
very
neither.
little that if he's like, I think this she would like, but she probably wouldn't play.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know. If I even suggest playing a game to my mom, like the look of horror on her face, because she's not into any kind of game thing. And like, I was like, well, you could do a cooperative. It doesn't have to be competitive, but it
I know
it
that I
doesn't
got my
seem to help.
mom hooked on Happy Salmon. So I
Oh,
got her
that's
her own
cool.
copy. Yeah. So I guess those kind of quick, silly, like it has to be quick and simple and funny for my mom,
Right.
right? But
Yeah.
then you know what? So she's not a board gamer, but I found her one. Like there is a board game out there for everybody, I do believe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think I got my mom to play apples to apples once, and that seemed to go okay. I mean, that's we never keep score or anything like that in a game like that. It's just sort of
No, for sure.
just see what kind of ridiculous things you come up with. But I don't know. I think anytime there's an actual win-loss condition, I think she's straight out. So how did you start this hobby though? Because everyone started kind of differently. So
Well, I mean, I was always into board gaming. Like, it's funny because my mom doesn't play board game, but when we were young, she would do yard sale, and I think she bought every board game she came across.
oh wow,
Me and my sibling, there's 3 of us. We're all 1 year apart, so it was kind of like, well, here, you guys go do this, and then I guess we'd be entertained, right? So we played a lot as kids. So I was always into board game, but I didn't discover kind of hobby games until much later. And then for my birthday, my brother one day bought me King of Tokyo. And
oh
my brother's the kind of person is like, oh, I got you your gift. You want to know what it is? And I was like, no, don't tell. Just give me a hint. So then I found out it was King of Tokyo. And then I got looking into it and I was like, why did he get me a kid's game? Because it's a very childish looking game. I'm like,
right.
okay. So then he came over for my birthday, brought me King of Tokyo, but then he also brought Lord of Waterdeep and Dominion. And we
Okay.
ended up playing those. And I was like, oh. And then my brother's like, I know, there's these games out here and we didn't even know about them. So, and then I was like, oh my. So then it kind of propelled me into board game mode. Like, and as I went home and I had some games that had been gifted a while back that I hadn't opened yet. One of them was Betrayal of House on the Hill.
Okay.
So both my kids, and they were preteens then, and then we got playing this game, and they were actually old enough to be kind of decent at this game instead of like Candyland. And Candyland
Right.
almost destroyed our gaming lifestyle.
Oh
But
yeah, it'll do that.
so oh jeez. So and it was great. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, what else is there? And then I got looking and playing. And then in 2018, my 18-year marriage came to an end unexpectedly. And one of the first thing I did is set up counseling for myself. And then she was asking me at one point, how did I cope? And I was like, honestly, I don't stay home. If the kids aren't home, I leave and I go play board games somewhere. So I would go to my game stores and I play games. If I wasn't, I would call my friends, say, hey, are you guys playing games? Or I would have people over. And then it got to the point where I'd call my friends like, are you playing games tonight? I said, oh no, we're not. It's like, okay, who do you know that's playing games?
Wow.
It was just, that's what I needed to do for my mental health at that state.
Yeah.
Right. And she loved it. She's like, it's great because it's social. It's not self-destructive in any way. I think you should play as much as possible. And I really did. So I played tons. But then for those few hours that I'm at the game night, my life is not a mess. It's not full of drama. I'm just, trying to be king of Tokyo. So
That's all.
it was just my escape and my way out and my way to cope until, I was good again. And then, but then I was still playing. And that's when I attended my first convention and I went by myself. And that was with the FallCon convention. And then that's when they approached me to join the team as well. And then I would start joining all the different Facebook groups. And then I would post every time I played. And I played a lot. So I was posting all the time and people were recognizing me. And I'm like, whoa, so why are they staring at me? Like I was at the game store. There's a couple of people staring at me. And I'm like, do I have something in my teeth? It was like, and I was like, what's going on? And then they come up, it's like, are you Melanie from Facebook? It was really weird. So But it just really propelled. And then at that point, that was just my hobby. And then my board game collection grew and grew, because
Uh-huh.
at the time, like when I first got into it, I would say I probably had about 50 games. I'm at 550 now.
Whoo. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah, yeah. But we recently moved, and the basement living room is now the designated game room, so there is space. And I've got 3 5x5 Calyx, and 2 4x1s, and 2 3x3s, 2x3s, and then I have like the DVD spinning thing that has game room on both sides for my smaller games. So,
Oh, wow.
and they're
Cool.
not all full, so there's room to grow, which is
All right.
bad, yeah.
So there's room to grow. Are you waiting on a bunch of Kickstarters or anything like that?
You know what? I'm not huge on Kickstarter. I will
Mm.
probably be backing the new Tiny Epic one, the Tiny Epic Crimes that's coming out, just because I
Oh,
have
yeah.
all the other Tiny Epic. I'm dedicated now. I'm getting fit to print, just because something was like, okay, fit, and I don't look into them. And then I've read or I was listening to a podcast somewhere that somebody said it plays like Galaxy Truckers. And I was like,
Oh.
oh, darn it, now I want it. Because I love Galaxy Truckers and that whole aspect of it. So just to have that similar mechanism in a different style, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, now I'm in. So, but I try not to. I kind of go with the approach that if a game is meant to be mine, it'll cross my path.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm at 550. So a lot of faith has been happening sending me these games apparently. But I'm just trying to kind of come up with some sort of self-control a little bit. So if I don't open the Kickstarter floodgate too much and the online ordering too much, then hopefully it's not too out of control. Because I suck at getting rid of my games. I
Oh,
just
me
seem to
too.
keep them
Hmm.
forever. Yeah.
I know. I just finally went, and because I was like, I need to call some stuff, and I gathered some, and we took my wife was going to be running a booth at a craft show, and so we got like an extra table for me to kind of promote the channel and have this, because it was kind of like it was actually more like a toy show. And
Hmm.
so I took some games and I got rid of some stuff, and like I didn't get rid of all of them. They're still sitting over here in a tub, and I should get off my butt and get rid of them. But some of the ones that I sold, I realized after I sold them, I was almost kind of hoping I wouldn't sell that one, because
Yeah, well, that's the thing, so, and then that's the thing, like, because you can call some game, doesn't mean it makes it out of the house.
right,
So, I've probably have sold less than 30 games in my whole entire gaming life, because
right,
I prefer to keep them. And then if I do end up getting rid of them, like, I mean, I got rid of my Dice Throne, the very first one, because I bought
yeah,
Dice Throne Season 1 rerolled. So that
right, right.
replaced it. And then I ended up donating it to my library. So,
Oh,
because
that's
they're
nice.
starting to build a game collection. But yeah, I mean, like, so that's a no-brainer. Well, I got a new one, so that's easy. But it's
Yeah,
like, well, but maybe I'll play this some again. Like, just the idea of what it was, or the experience that it can provide. I have a hard time letting go.
yeah, no, I get it, because a couple of the ones I got rid of, it's not that we didn't like them, it's just that I had to look at it realistically and be like, well, the amount of time we have to play, and we're trying to, have new reviews all the time. Like, what is the likelihood I'll get it back to the table? And so I decided, well, as much as it's a good game, I don't know if we're going to get this back out anytime realistically. And then I saw it, and I'm like, what if we would have gotten it back out? Dang it. Like, what if we just didn't play it enough? And that could have been one of our favorite games. Oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
It's terrible. If
I
something,
gotta say, I haven't really regret any games I have sold.
oh, that's good.
Um, so yeah, maybe because I don't really do it that much, but
Well,
it's
yeah,
not like it's time to play a game and I'd be like, "Oh, that is the only game that would have fit this situation." Like, my
right,
collection is large enough that it's not like I need one particular game because that's the only one of that style I have.
right.
So, so I haven't regretted any of the games I sold, but yeah, no, it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
really good at buying them.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Buying them's very easy and fun. But like anything that can give me entertainment and wow, excuse me, anything that can give me entertainment value, I have trouble getting rid of. Like, I have boxes with old video game systems and video games that who knows if I'll ever hook them up to a TV again, but like
Yeah.
I could, and every once in a while I think like, man, it'd be really cool to hook up that old Sega Genesis and get that. And I probably won't because right now it's a hassle because it's in storage now. But
Yeah.
I I could. So
The
and if I
possibilities there.
yeah, and if I get rid of it and then I want it again, it's much harder to get all that stuff. So I probably should just keep it.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
It's a big problem. But you talked about how gaming kind of helps you keep your sanity because you're going through like a lot of crazy stuff, and I think I wonder how many people do use gaming for things kind of like that, whether it's a something that was big and impactful like what you had, or just like the general stresses of life. Because I know stress gets to me and it starts kind of welling up, and then if I can get into some games and play them, it's like for a while I'm not thinking about all that garbage,
Exactly.
and it helps you kind of bring it back down,
Mm-hmm.
so you're not like freaking out in your head constantly. So I think it's really awesome that you did that. Is that something because okay, so I'm not fully sure if I understood. So you're kind of part of a program that helps like couples like sort of
Yeah,
work out their
that
I
came
want to
too
make sure I
late.
understand this right. Well, but see, but you it's okay. I mean, it didn't help you, I guess specifically, but
But you know
it
what?
helps you because you have experience.
And that's why I think I was so, because they approached me. They saw all the bunch of stuff I had been posting all the time, and they approached me and say, "Hey, Melanie, we really like what you're doing and love for you to be part of the team." Just because he was so busy running his practice that he didn't have time to put into the talking about the board game specifically enough. And he said, like this is what we do, and we'd love for you to join us. And I was like, okay, I want to. This sounds amazing. And I think what they do is just so good. Like, and would it have made any difference in my relationship had we had a program like this? Honestly, probably. Would I wish I could go back and redo all that? No, I'm really happy with where I am now. I'm happy with
Right.
my spouse now. I have no desire to change my situation at all. But I think relationship and marriage deserves to be worked on. They deserve
Right.
to be, like we should be putting some effort into that. And honestly, me and Lee now play board games all the time. It is part of something that is part of my relationship now. But when they approached me, said, "We'd love you to do this," I was like, okay, you know what? I love it. I'd love to be part of it, but I feel I should tell you I'm divorced. Maybe this disqualifies me. And then it's like, and I talked about my experience and what all happened. And he's like, actually, I think that kind of makes you perfect. But it's a great idea. Like, how do you make sure that you spend quality time with somebody that you're mad at, that things
Right.
are tense, and how do you spend quality time with them when things flare up easily? Well, maybe you just play Star Realms and try to kill each other, and maybe that gets some of that tension out of the way. Or if you
Yeah.
really can't talk, then maybe we play Azul, where there's almost no conversation. You do your own
Yeah.
thing, but you still coming together, spending that quality time together. I think that's amazing. I love what they do, and I'm so glad that I'm part of that now.
Well, that's what you kind of touched on it, but that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, if there's a couple that's fighting, um, is it good to get like a game that's like super take that because it helps get aggression out, or is that like the final nail in their coffin?
It depends on where they're at, right? And it depends on the different couples. Some people need to have that way of getting that dealt with. Some people, it's just, you know what? It's better that we come in a area where it's going to be neutral and we don't even address that there's these things going on. So let's not flare things up unnecessarily. So let's
Right.
pick something that's a little bit on the friendlier side, or that has less interaction and it's kind of more, removed. Or so, yeah, it just, and that's kind of what I do with them, because Games and Couple created a rating system that bases game on three things: hurt feelings and conflicts, and then on connection and conversation potential, and then on getting to know you. And
Oh
then on
wow.
those three different things, depending on where you're at, it's like, you know what? Not caring about getting to know them. We've been married 20 years. I don't need to worry about that. Um, but we're not in a good place. So I don't want conversation right now. I want as little conversation as possible, and preferably probably lower hurt feelings because I'm a little edgy, so then you
Yeah.
can kind of go towards a game that would be a little bit more neutral,
Right.
so, and still plays good at 2, still kind of gives you some way of spending quality time, even though things are tense, so, but it's, yeah, no, I really like what they do for sure.
That's amazing. And I don't know if I really ever thought about that before, but I could see why that would work because, you know, if if the entirety of your interaction is tense or fighting or whatever, it's hard to find a way to fix that. But if you can
Yeah.
like kind of have like a secondary or I guess tertiary or whatever focus, it kind of I think it helps kind of start making little bridges where there were none before. And
Hmm.
board game is such a perfect way to do that over so many other hobbies, I think. I mean, I'm sure other
Well,
stuff could work too, but
for sure, because it is intimate, like you can come to 2 people. It's cost effective and it's easy to make the time for it. So it's a 20-minute game. Then okay, it's not okay. Well, I've got to get ready, pack up, find a babysitter, get out, and let it. It doesn't have all that convoluted different things that kind of go with it. It's a very easy one to bring into the routine. So
So you're not
it's,
having them sit down and play Twilight Imperium, is what you're saying? Like that's not
well, I mean,
what you're gonna
we
do.
better be on good terms.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be the final decider. Are you staying together or getting divorced? Let's Twilight Imperium it out, and
That's
something's
right.
gonna happen by the end of it. You're gonna be locked in this room for at least 8 hours, so buckle in. It's gonna be something. Oh
Yeah,
my god,
exactly.
God, that'd be
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Lee wouldn't have the gaming stamina. So I don't know if
Yeah,
I would. If I'm
very
gonna
few
be
people.
sitting 8 hours, I have no problem sitting 8 hours to play board games, but I kind of want it to be 20 different board games. You know, it's
Yeah,
like we
yeah,
play
I
so
could see
many
that.
games.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I played Twilight Imperium once, and it was with all expansions, max player count. It took 15 and a half hours, and it was a great experience, and I did enjoy it. But like, I'm not going to be doing this every weekend. Like
No.
there's no way. I will do this once every few years probably, and I will be good. And I'm glad I did it. But wow, no, it's even a good thing. It's too much of a good thing at some like if that game had
Yeah.
been in even like I think it would have been 2 hours short, even though that's still extremely long, it would have been all right. But we were getting to the point where everyone's like, let's just do what we have to end this damn thing. And like, you could tell like people were
Yeah.
getting there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. At one point, you disconnect. You don't care anymore. You just want it to end. That was risk for
yeah.
me growing up.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can't do it. All right. All right. So we've talked a lot about amassing our game collections.
Yes.
And that's going to bring us to our debate topic, which is it a shelf of shame or a shelf of opportunity? So let's get to our debate. Okay, so we're at our debate segment again. It is whether or not it is a shelf of shame or a shelf of opportunity. So, viewers, what we're going to do is we're going to randomize our side in this. We're going to randomize our turn order. We're each going to have an opening statement, a middle or rebuttal statement, and then a closing statement. And after that, we'll talk about how we really feel so we're not misrepresenting ourselves. But, viewers, the most important part of all this is I need you to go to the comments and tell us which one of us you thought was more convincing. It doesn't have to be the person you agree with, it just has to be who you thought presented the better or more interesting or whatever argument grabbed you. Because neither Melanie and I will be able to get a single wink of sleep if we don't know how we're
We need to
doing
know.
in
That's
this
right.
very serious competition. Yes, I know. I can feel the conflict arising between us. We should probably play games so we're not at each other's throats at some point. We don't
That's
want to do
right.
that. So we'll figure it out. We're not very close to each other, but that's okay. All right. So without further ado, I have my magic technology randomizer.
It's
So what we're
beautiful.
going to do Yeah, it's functional. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna randomize it. If it's an odd number, you're gonna say that it is a shelf of shame.
Okay.
If it's an even number, you're gonna be saying it's a shelf of opportunity. So
Okay.
I'm gonna try to hit the button, even though I'm not looking at it, which is a little hard in my screen because it's mirrored. Nope, there we go. Even. So you're gonna be shelf of opportunity side, right?
Perfect. Okay.
Half the time when I set this up, by the time I get the number, I've forgotten which thing meant which. So, but I'm pretty
I'll
sure
write
this
it
is
down.
correct.
I'm opportunity. Okay.
Your opportunity. All right. So, excuse me. Now we're gonna figure out our order. So if it's an odd number, you're gonna be going first, and if it's an even number, I'll be going first. Okay.
Mhm.
Odd number, you'll be going first. I think this
Perfect.
might be the first time I've not gone first. I feel like I go first a lot. I could be wrong, but
No, the ones I've seen, you've always gone first. So yeah, no pressure at all.
I know I
Okay.
was starting to think like, is this thing like? I actually checked the other night. I was like, does it always pick even? Have I like not realized it? Because I think I always do it that way for whatever reason. And like, no, it doesn't. So anyway, I'm glad that it's proven that it's not fully rigged here. So
Perfect. Perfect. So we're talking about shelf of shame and shelf of opportunity. Of course, that means all the board games that you own that are currently unplayed. And knowing we were getting into this debate, it made me look at my numbers. Not counting expansion, I currently own exactly 550 board games. 125 of those are currently unplayed. Some are from yesterday, some are from a year or two ago. So that gives me a ratio of 23% of my collection is unplayed. Now, of course, this is a shelf of opportunity. This is 125 board games that are waiting to be discovered and to bring some sort of excitement. And sometimes I will just sit at my collection, look at them, and just knowing that that potential and that opportunity is sitting there just excites me. And it's amazing. Now, some will say it's shameful. Why do you have so many games if you haven't played them? But they're wrong.
is that your opening statement? Or
Yeah, that's my opening statement.
okay,
You bet.
okay, I like it. That was very to the point. They're wrong. Okay, so excuse me. So shelf of shame, shelf of opportunity. Oh my goodness, Melanie. I once, and sometimes occasionally still do, feel like you did. You know, I would buy a game and I'd put it on my shelf and be like, you know what? I know I'm not going to get this played today, but it's there. It's waiting for me to get it played. And you know what? I think to a point, maybe that's all right. Now, I don't have quite as big a collection as you do. I want to say it's in like the high 300s or so. And at the beginning of this year, I made a New Year's resolution. I said, well, I'm going to try to get my shelf of shame from, I think it was like around 70 ish. I was going to try to get down to 35. So, like half of those games. Cool. Shouldn't be a problem. I played like 30 of those games. That's great. My shelf of shame is at 90 right now. So that's not working great. And you that's opportunity there, but look, if I bought none of the games I bought this year, yeah, I'd be sitting still probably around the 30 games left, which would have gotten my New Year's resolution, but that's 30 flipping games that I bought. You know, I'm gonna say if I'm being real nice, averaging $40 maybe. Now I'm not gonna do the math in my head. You can do that at home, but it's a lot of money at the and $40 by the way, that's probably pretty low. I'm guessing for what it actually is. That's a lot of money sitting on my shelf unused that I could have used for important things. I mean, games are important in a way, but I'm talking about like vital stuff maybe I could have used it for. But I've got games. I like these games. I like the idea. I understand, like, well, okay, but what if I want a worker placement game set in a fantasy world and I don't have one of those opens? Well, thank goodness I have this one I can crack open. But again, that's fine if I've got like 5 games sitting there that I need to get played. When we're getting into the I'm almost you are in the triple digits. I'm almost to the triple digits. What am I doing? This is crazy. Listen, I know it's fun to say, look at my big collection. That's cool. But like at some point, gamers, we have to look at ourselves and say, what is wrong with us? What kind of strange thing is not connecting in our brain that we know this is ridiculous? If we call this opportunity, we're just we're trying to make a problem look like a positive. No. We need to stop this. And feeling the shame that this should bring is the only thing that will stop us. And that's my opening statement.
Okay. So let me bring out a point. I get up in the morning every day. Sometimes I wear jeans. Sometimes I wear leggings. Sometimes I wear sweatpants. Sometimes it's a sweater. Sometimes it's a tank top. Let's be honest, most of the time it is a tank top. But there's variety there. Then I have my breakfast. And then sometimes it's cereal. Sometimes it's oatmeal. Sometimes it's eggs and bacon, bigger thing. And then sometimes it's pancakes. When it comes to playing board games, I don't always want to play Dominion. I don't always want to play Lord of Waterdeep. Sometimes I want something different. Sometimes I want something that I haven't played yet. That's something all brand new that's going to bring this new experience. Last weekend, we watched a movie called American Made. Where is American Made? But it's a movie about a real life story of Barry Seal that kind of was hired by the CIA to start kind of smuggling things into the lower countries, and it ended up creating the biggest drug cartel in Colombia American. And it was interesting. And afterwards, the next day, we're like, you know what would be neat? Let's pull out that game, Narcos, the board game, and we ran our own drug cartel on the table, kind of extending the feel of that weekend of the movie that was so entertaining and so interesting. And then we were able to take it to the table and kind of have another exposure to it. Now, in real life, I really am quite the goody two-shoe. I don't run a drug cartel, nor do I intend to ever be part of any type of drug activities other than the pharmacy where I work. But this was a game that had came up at an auction at a game convention that I had attended, and it was going for a really reasonable price, and I ended up purchasing it. And then I was like, oh, why did I buy this one? Well, this was the exact perfect game for this weekend. And it's actually a really great game where one plays as Pablo Escobar trying to hide, and it's like a hidden location. And he's pulling and trying to run his drug cartel at the same time, while the other is playing as the DEA and the Colombian police and the Cali cartel and trying to find him and stop him and arrest him. Had I not made sure that my game had a variety and opportunity to have games for a different occasion, we wouldn't have had that amazing weekend we did have.
I see. Well, I'm glad you're not going to run a drug cartel in real life. First off, let's get that out of the way.
Yes. If any FBI agents is listening, I don't run a drug cartel.
Although if you ever do, I think the numbers on this video are going to shoot way up. That's going to be amazing. So, I'm just saying, don't maybe rule it out. But okay, we'll move on with the actual topic at hand here. Okay. So I think you made some really interesting points, and from someone who has a big shelf of shame, I do understand them. I get what you're saying, but I think gamers, when we think about our game collection, we put on some kind of special lens over our eyes that makes us look at them in ways that we don't look at other things. So I like games, right? And so I buy a bunch of them, and for often the reasons you're talking about. But it's not the only thing I like in this world. For instance, I like pizza. Pizza's great. There's very few pizzas that I don't like. Usually I like the straight pepperoni, but sometimes, sure, like the Supreme or whatever, that sounds pretty good, right? So I could do this. I could when I order a pizza, say, hey, you know what? Just give me one of every pizza you got. And they'll deliver this giant stack of pizza that I can put on my table or whatever else I can fit all that on. And now I can be like, okay, cool. Now I can have a slice of this, and then I'll see what I'm in the mood for, and I'll have a slice of that. And then I'll have a slice of this one, or, depending on how hungry I am that night, this could go on a while. But even if I try to have a different piece every time, there's going to be pieces of pizza left untouched. It's just going to sit there doing nothing. Now, thankfully, board games don't attract flies and other kinds of pests. That's good. But at its base, it's the same problem. I'm being incredibly wasteful. I threw a bunch of money out the window so I could have variety, which is nice. But in reality, I'm not going to touch all that. Even if I start trying to have it as leftovers into the next days, I'm still not going to touch all that. It's just not going to happen. There's too many varieties. And one thing that you could say about games is there's an awful lot of them. Over 1,000 coming out every year, and you're obviously not going to buy all those, but if you're buying like Melanie and I are, you're still going to have games that you never touch. I have games in shrink wrap. I don't know if any of them are on screen. There's a couple expansions up here that are, but we won't count expansions. That's fine. There's some games that are in shrink wrap that I bought, assuming that I will play, of course. But some of those games I've had for years and years. Am I going to play them? Or is it just going to be wasteful, rotting away like a piece of pizza that maybe doesn't quite have the toppings that I'm ever really in the mood for, that I thought I might be? Like, it makes me think maybe what I should have done. Like, for instance, I have The Godfather, Corleone's Empire, which I have played. We're going to stick with the crime lord kind of theme here, right? I have played that one. And that's lucky. But what I could have done is before I bought it, I could say, hey, you know what? My friends and I we're gonna have a night where we watch like The Godfather and Goodfellas and maybe play a game. Maybe I could find a game for that theme now when I know I'm gonna be playing this. And then I could have bought The Godfather. I could have done that. I mean, luckily this time it worked out, but how many games did it not work out with? How many games will it never work out for? I'm telling you, if I didn't have this shelf of shame, I could probably have, I don't know, a nicer car, a bigger house, a trip to space. I don't know. I could have bought Twitter. Any of these things could have happened. I don't know. There's a lot of ways this could have gone down. I could have had better things that are probably more important. And I know I'm not the only one, because as bad as my shelf of shame is, there are so many who have it so much worse, including Melanie here. Not trying to call you out and be mean, Melanie, but you have the higher number. It's just what it is right now. And for that reason, I think calling it a shelf of opportunity is just trying to fool yourself. It's a shelf of shame. And that is my middle statement.
There you go. So calling it a shelf of shame is insinuating that it shouldn't be there. You shouldn't have it. I remember I had a financial consultant come to my house who was saying, you know what, let's consolidate all your debt. Let's take your mortgage. Let's take all of your loans on your vehicles and all these things. And then we'll combine all of that into one. And then we'll make the highest payment possible so that in 5-10 years, you'll be debt free. Doesn't that sound amazing? And I said, no, it sounds horrible. He's like, what? I was like, that's assuming that I've plateaued, that this is where I want to be. So are you saying, because you're calling it a shelf of opportunity, you've plateaued? These are all the games you'll ever want to play. And all the new games that are coming out that be like, oh, wow, that's the game I've always wanted to play. I love that theme. Or for me, I have a family of 6. It's more like, ooh, Jerome would love this one, and this would be great memory for me and him to build together. But no, I have unplayed games, so I cannot buy that one to make this a memory that me and my son could potentially have. I haven't plateaued as far as all the board games I want to play. So I say these games that I'm purchasing these 125 board games that I currently own that are unplayed currently is an investment into my entertainment, into the memories I'm going to be creating with my children, potentially memories I'm going to be creating with my grandchildren down the road, with future friends, with my friends now. Having that array, that variety, is giving me the tool to be able to have many different experience that I'm looking forward to do. Now, being that I have that many unplayed games does not mean I am not playing them, and that Dad will not. My intention is to play them. In the last 7 days, I've played 25 different plays. 18 of those was 18 different games. 12 of those were from my unplayed games. So my games do get played eventually, but I invest in the future as well. Now, I agree with you, as you're saying, you should have a budget. You shouldn't be spending rent on board games. But my budget towards my entertainment goes towards my board games. So is that because I have unplayed games, I should be spending my entertainment budget on other things? Or should I continue having my entertainment budget going towards game? Now, I could, instead of buying new games, bling out some of the current games. And with some I have done, but I prefer to have the potential of a new experience that I might have with a friend, family member.
I see. Well, those are all great thoughts, and I think it's awesome that you know are looking out for games that your family will like. That's wonderful. So, listen, I don't know the ins and outs of how your life is, but I know from trying to schedule game nights, oftentimes these things have to be planned at least a bit ahead of time, right? It's rare in my life, and I think in most people's lives, to be able to call up a bunch of people and say, hey, let's all get together right now and play a game. I'll find one from my shelf. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm betting that's not the usual thing. Usually it's like, hey, let's play a game this weekend. Okay, cool. So let's say you want to play a game that you don't have. Like for me, I recently played on BJA Champions of Midgard. Ooh, wow, I like that game. I don't own it yet. I really want to get that game. And if I get some friends together and say, hey, listen, I played this game on BJ, I'd like to play with you. Champions of Midgard. And they say, okay, let's do that in a few days. Okay, I could do that. But, excuse me, I'm not going to go to my shelf of shame, which is the shelf of games that I have bought and haven't played. I'm going to go to the actual shelf of opportunity. And again, you and I are in different countries. I'm not sure exactly how it goes there. But here, the actual shelf of opportunity is called Amazon.com, where I could go and be like, this is a game I want to play in a few days. I will buy it, and it will be here in 2 days, and then it will be ready. And I will play it right then, having gotten it, knowing I will play it, get it to the table, and play the game I want to play. And then it doesn't go on to my shelf of shame. It is my shelf of conquest. I don't know. What do you call your shelf of games that you played? I don't know. But either way, it goes there. Not shameful. I've used that game, and I played it with other people who may ask for it again. Now there's that opportunity, but it is still a game that I have actually utilized. And look, if you don't like Amazon for a lot of reasons, I understand that. Your local game store could be your shelf of opportunity. They have a lot of shelves, a lot of opportunities. It's a game that you know you're going to play, that you know you want to try, and you and your gamer could work this out. You don't have to be the one buying it all the time either. Maybe it's like, okay, well, it's your turn to go buy whatever. Yeah, it's your turn. So you go buy Gloomhaven. I just I just bought Jaipur or whatever. You work it out. That's fine. I'm saying the game stores are your shelves of opportunity. Those are your opportunities. If we're talking about buying them anyway, leave them on those shelves until you actually have the opportunity to play those games. Because once you buy them and you bring them home, until you played it, if you didn't have a plan, now I'll give you a pass if you planned to play it and you bought it and then plans fell through. That happens. You don't have to call that a shelf of shame game. I'll give you that one. That was it's just something that happened. But you bought this thing and like, I don't know, someday I'm gonna want to play a deck builder where you play as mosquitoes in a swamp. Okay, cool. Maybe you will. Or maybe that's going to sit in shrink wrap for years and years if you ever play it at all. That's your shelf of shame over there. You shouldn't have bought that. Come on. You know you shouldn't have bought that. I don't like to make people feel bad, but that's part of life. Sometimes you have to feel bad to learn a lesson. You know, if you touch the burning stove, but you don't feel it, you don't learn anything. That's why our brains make us feel that. You have to feel that to realize I've made a mistake. I shouldn't have touched that burning stove. I shouldn't have bought this game I had no plan to play other than some kind of fleeting desire. It's a shelf of shame. It's a shelf of mistakes. It's a shelf of regret. Keep the opportunities at the game store until you're ready to play them. That's my closing statement.
Okay, love it. Well, I'll build on that a little bit. Thebes is an amazing game where you're collecting information to learn about different dig site, and once you've got more information collected, you can go onto the dig site, and then you get to decide how much time you're going to spend there. And depending on the knowledge you have, it's like, well, I've got 5 knowledge for this location. You turn your wheel to the 5, and I'm going to spend 5 weeks. So that means in the bag, I can pull this much out, and you go in the bag and you pull out, and you're trying to find artifacts. Some of it's going to be sand. The sand goes back. So the ratio gets worse and worse as you go back to those same dig site. Amazing, amazing game. Unfortunately, it's out of print now. Now, Shakespeare, worker placement game, which is currently on my shelf of opportunity. I've heard amazing things about it. I cannot wait to play it, where you're putting a Shakespearean play. It's unfortunately out of print now. So you can't go to the local game store shelf of opportunity to purchase it. It's not going to be there, unfortunately. Now, my game collection, yes, 550 board games right now. I would say 80% of those are games that have been reloved. I've purchased them secondhand from other people that are moving on, and I've purchased those. A lot of times they're games that are out of print that I wouldn't have the opportunity to purchase elsewhere. But once I'm able to get to this particular game, and some of these games are considered classic, an amazing game for a reason. They've done amazing things with them, and I cannot wait to get them played. So is there potential for lost opportunity if you wait for the game that you want at the moment that you need it? It might have passed you by, and that opportunity might be gone forever.
I see. I've lost entire track of where we are in the structure of this thing, to be honest with you. I think I get really thrown off, but I have no idea. All right, I'll just say one more quick thing. I'll say one more quick thing, and then I will be done. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Archaeologists can look at a mountain or a canyon, a rock formation, whatever, and look and say, hey, that's great opportunity. You know, we might find some classic dinosaur bones. Yeah, full T-Rex. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, it would be amazing. That's great. But sometimes they go and they do their work, and there's not a goddamn thing there. Or they find like a lion skeleton, which is cool and all, but not actually an archaeological find. You keep those things hidden away, untouched, thinking they'll be great. You spend a lot of money to get to this project. My metaphor is falling apart a little bit here, but but sometimes you do all this work, you pay all that money, and it's just not there. It's better to find out early, one thing at a time. Play it, and then there's no shame. It worked or it didn't, but you haven't had it taking up space for years when it was never going to do anything for you. Shame. Shame. That's all I got to say. You're welcome to say anything else you like if you want to.
All good.
Okay. Wowie. That was fun. Okay. I was like, man, I hope I could say enough about this shelf of shame, shelf of opportunity thing, but there's a lot. I feel like we could have gone on for a while longer. All right. So how do you actually feel about this topic?
You know what? Here's how I feel about it. Be responsible about it. Don't buy more than you have room for. Don't buy more than you can afford to. But in the end, it's nobody else's business.
That's true. That's true. I'll admit, I probably usually call it the shelf of shame. Honestly, that's just because it rolls off the tongue better, probably
Yeah.
more than anything. I will say that, uh, eh, I try not to buy games beyond my means. Maybe sometimes I fail, but I try not to. And sometimes I look at how many I have, and I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? But I do buy these games because they're, maybe a little different than what I have, or I really want to try a game with that theme. And if I had all the time in the world, I would absolutely get to those quickly. I don't, but that doesn't mean I won't like them later. There's a game I actually did play once that I really wanted to get in my collection called Chaos in the Old World. it's it's an Eric Lang game. It's fantastic. It's in the Warhammer universe. You play one of the 4 evil gods, and you're trying to, well, each one's trying to do something totally different. It's a blast. I liked it. I played it. I wanted to buy it. And I'd see it on the shelf and be like, yeah, I'll get it later. Let me tell you something. You try to get that game now, and it is hundreds of dollars because it's gone. So, much like you're saying, Melanie, like don't go beyond your means, obviously. Be sane about this, but if there's something you really want, even if it's going to take you a while to get to it, you maybe should try to do that, because you never know what's going to happen. The company could go under, in Chaos in the Old World's case, that the licensing might fall through, or they change it so it's not there anymore. I mean, if you really feel confident you're going to like it, get it, because these games really don't go bad. It's not like,
no, exactly.
There's
no expiration date.
Yeah, it's not like video games, which still don't necessarily go bad. But if I bought a game on the PS1 and didn't play it till now, I could still go back and play it, and it might even be fun. But that is not gonna. It's not gonna look great, compared to the newer stuff. So these are not, I mean, art, I guess, can change over time or whatever. But like, really, a good old game is still going to be a good game, I think. So don't feel bad about yourselves unless you've bought yourself out of house and home. Then maybe you should probably have stopped and felt a little bad about it.
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of potential for FOMO, right? With the Kickstarters and the latest and greatest, and then this one is out and this one is out, and you can get caught up in that so easily. And that's why I try not to look. I try not to see what's the newest and greatest, and I'll see what comes my way. But if it's a great game, it's going to be talked about, and then I'll start looking at that point after it's been tested and proven, and or if I've experienced it myself. It's so easy to just be like, well, everybody's talking about this one, I need to get this one. And then all of a sudden, 5 months later, nobody is talking about it anymore because it wasn't that great to begin with. But it was just what was big then, so yeah.
So yeah, be picky, right? Be a little picky about what you buy, but I think it sounds like we're on the same page where it's okay to get something that it take a little bit to get to it, but
I mean, every game I purchase is with the intention of playing it. I don't buy a game saying, you know what, I'll never play this, but at least I got the status of it being in my collection. Right. I don't do that. But yeah.
Yeah, because nobody really knows what you have in your collection. Even if it's like your URI, where we'll post an unboxing maybe of something we got. Like, I don't think anyone really remembers. Like, who's got a great game collection? It's David, because I've seen him unbox all these games and I know exactly what he has. Nobody does this. Nobody does this. That's crazy. There's no status really in it. It's just get the things you think you're gonna love, and hopefully it'll all work out. But and you talked about getting games others have played, and we've talked a little bit about trying to get rid of games, although neither one of us are great at it. But if you get a game and you try it down the road and it's not for you, you can pass on someone who'll like it. So it's not really actually a waste. The debate, I tried to make it sound very final, like you kept it on your shelf for years and then maybe you play it and it's awful, but it's not going to be awful to somebody. Like somebody's going to like that. So, it's all good. It's all just fine, I think.
It really is.
So here we are. We're being enablers to all you gamers. If you want to go crazy and have a lot of plastic wrap things on your shelves, Melanie and I think we both say is okay. So
it's okay. Mind you, I do got to say, every Friday I do my hashtag shelf unshamed or shed the shame Friday. I think I do kind of too, but so shed the shame Friday. So I do try to make a point of getting these games played. That is my intention, knowing that mostly because sometimes you'll play games like, oh my God, why did I not play this sooner? It was amazing. And I could have been playing this all along, or, so there's some amazing games out there that are just waiting to be played. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask your opinion on something here.
Okay.
Do you play any games on like Board Game Arena or Tabletop Simulator, any of those online?
Things? Well, I mean, I have a couple of times, but not lots, mainly because I prefer to play a crappy game at the table with a social aspect than a great game online.
Fair enough.
Oh.
But as it relates to the shelf of shame thing, let me ask, I'm just curious about your opinion. There's not a right or wrong answer here. Okay. I own Blood Rage, the physical Blood Rage.
So good.
It is very good. I have never played my copy or any physical copy of Blood Rage, but I've played it on Board Game Arena.
So when you do play it, it's going to be great.
It is.
Is it played or unplayed?
Is it part of my shelf of shame, or is it technically not now because I have played it? Sort of. I mean, I played it online. I have played it, but
it's more on the shelf of shame than I've played a game. Now I've purchased my own copy, never played my own copy. Is that one on the shelf of shame? I would say that's less so than the one that you've only played online, because there's a whole aspect. You're not feeling that tactile element of playing this game. Yeah. A lot of it's been done for you. So there's a range. And you mean you're not shame, but you're under there.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Yeah, I've been counting it as not on my shelf of shame anymore, but I do agree, even no matter how good the implementation is online, it is a different thing to sit with these games in person and play them. There's part of the experience that the online version just can't recreate, despite no matter how good it is. It just can't quite do it. So
yeah,
I think that's it. All right. Well, I think we've done it all. So Melanie, where can people follow you and check out what you're doing?
On Facebook, my Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. On Instagram, it's Mel's_boardgame_room. And my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. And my podcast, which should be on most podcast players, and that's the Boardgame Specialists.
Yes, indeed. Definitely check all those out. She is fantastic. And that is why I asked her on here. I don't ask people on here I think are terrible. That would be ridiculous. No, she's great. And I will have links to all that down in the description so you can find it a little easier, although she's not hard to find, to be honest with you. I guarantee you, if you're in a Facebook board game group, you've seen her post something. I bet you anything you have. She is there doing awesome stuff. So anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you can know about the next time we put out a video. Otherwise, look forward to seeing you all around the table again at All Games New and Old. Bye.
Hi everyone, we now have a merch store, so help out the channel and check it out.
Yeah, all these games and the equipment, everything we do, and costumes cost a lot of money. So anything you can do to help us out if you love our content would be really appreciated. We have t-shirts in tons of different colors and styles.
We have sweatshirts in a few different styles.
We have lots of stuff you can drink out of, like coffee mugs, pint glasses.
We also have coffee tumblers and water balls and a few other things.
Right. So
the following announcement has been paid for by AGNO.
Hey y'all, check it out. Brand new shirt. It's not just black, it's black and white. Get one today. You can get it with or without, for everyone on the back. You want something to drink? Is it Thirsty Thursday? That's what that means, right? We got something for your morning. Check that out. We got something for your day. And you know, we got something for your night. Get your drink on with that. Get a little cold outside? Check out this premium hoodie. Damn, that looks good. You want to look good? You need this hoodie. What's that? You want a little color? Don't worry. AGNO has got you covered. You don't like purple and red? Don't worry. There's plenty more. Just check the store. All these clothes, not too big, not too small, just too sweet. Don't forget, All Games New and Old is for everyone.
The preceding announcement was paid for by AGNO.
So yeah, that's how you can get pretty much any Kickstarter at the all-in pledge level for free. So when you saved all that money, make sure you go to our merch store, spend some of that saved money to help us out. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. If you enjoyed that video, you might also like this one.
Or this one.
If you like any of our videos, what you should do is click this little button to subscribe so you'll know about the next time we put out a video.
We'll see you around the table.
Bye.
Bye.